the Murray case, Dr. Murray is present with counsel as before. The people by counsel is before. Mr. Phillips is present on the witness stand. All the jurors and all the alternates are present. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Ms. Phillips, good afternoon, sir. Do you acknowledge you're still under oath and still sworn to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. This is a resumption of direct examination. Mr. Chernoff, good afternoon.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon. Ms. Phillips, good afternoon. Mr. Chernoff. We were talking about you being contacted by Peter Lopez on behalf of Michael Jackson. Correct. In 2007. Correct. And the contact was made. For the purpose of perhaps using AEG as a promoter of production. Did you have any idea what the meeting was going to be about with Peter Lopez?
Well, I assumed the first meeting was going to be to talk about the potential of Michael getting back on the stage again.
Okay, now was that something that AEG Live would be interested in?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, you say absolutely. Tell us what you mean by that.
He's the greatest star in contemporary music. So.
And getting Michael Jackson back on stage in 2007 would have been a monumental achievement. It would have been a fantastic concert, a great sell. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And that's something AEG was very interested in.
That is correct.
In fact, any entertainment company would be interested in that particular.
I would assume so.
All right.
I can only speak for hours, but yes.
Okay. Now, did you keep track of Michael Jackson's career up to that time? Were you aware of the last time he had actually had a concert?
No more or less so than just being in the business, and I didn't do any specific research on his tours.
To your knowledge, when was the last time that Michael Jackson had been on stage, done concerts?
I honestly cannot recollect. I'm not sure.
In the 90s?
It would be the late 90s, I'm sure. You know, it's going to be the 90s.
Were you familiar in 2007 with where Michael Jackson was living? Did you know where he was living?
No, I didn't know where he was living.
The meeting with Peter Lopez was held where?
In Las Vegas.
Okay, and that was with Peter Lopez and Michael Jackson in attendance.
That is correct.
Who else was at the meeting?
To the best of my recollection, Mr. Chernoff, it was Ramon Bain, who was serving as Michael's manager / spokesperson at the time. There was a lawyer named Cross from, I think, Maryland. There were Ramon Bain's assistant, I don't remember her name, and there was another gentleman there. And then there were a number of AEG executives besides me.
It's a pretty large meeting.
It was, yes.
Where was it held?
At Turnberry Isle in the wine tasting room.
Okay. In Las Vegas?
Yes, in Las Vegas.
Why was Las Vegas chosen?
I honestly have no idea. It was the choice location that Peter Lopez gave us.
All right. You had this meeting. How long did the meeting last?
Meeting probably lasted about an hour and a half.
All right. And did the group come to any resolution about what was going to be done?
No, there was no resolution. It was the first meeting.
All right. After that meeting, was there any subsequent contact with Peter Lopez or Michael Jackson? I mean, in 2007. Yeah. I'd like to limit it to
not with Michael Jackson. There were conversations and there was contact with Peter Lopez and Ramon Bain.
All right. So there was subsequent negotiations, discussions about concerts.
That's correct.
Ultimately, did these negotiations amount to anything? Was there any concert scheduled as a result of these negotiations?
No.
Okay. And then, since nothing occurred from these negotiations, did you drop the matter, or did you continue approaching Peter Lopez to set something up, some concert tour up?
No. At that point, it was readily apparent that Michael wasn't ready to take the stage again, so we didn't pursue it at that moment in time.
All right. When did you next get approached, or when did you next approach Michael Jackson or his people to try to arrange for a concert series?
That would have been, I believe, to the best of my recollection, late August 2008.
All right, 2008. Who contacted you?
Tom Barrick's office at Colony Capital contacted my company.
Okay. Now, this was out of the blue contact?
Yeah,
Just phone call?
yes, correct.
Who is Tom Barrick?
Tom Barrick is a principal in a company called Colony Capital.
Is Colony Capital in?
Just a moment. Okay. Yeah, it's distracting, the overhead projector. Thank you.
That's still not working.
Deputy Jones will accomplish that.
Miracle work.
Okay? Could you spell the word before capital?
Capital I assume it's spelled C-A-P-I-T-A-L.
No.
Oh,
It's Colony.
The word before.
Colony.
Colony.
Colony, C-O-L-O-N-Y.
Thank you.
Is Colony, may I continue?
Sure.
Is Colony Capital an entertainment company?
Not to my knowledge.
An entertainment agency?
No.
What kind of company is it?
My knowledge of it is that it is like a private equity fund.
All right. And the owner, the principal in that company is Tom Barrick?
Right. I think there are numerous partners.
Okay. Who did Tom Barrick contact? Was it you directly?
No, he actually contacted Phil Anschutz.
Who is Phil Anschutz?
He's the chairman of AEG, someone I report to.
He is the Anschutz and Anschutz Entertainment Group?
Yes, he is.
All right. Tom Barrick knew Phil Anschutz, to your knowledge?
I believe so.
And then you were contacted by Phil Anschutz?
Correct.
Were you familiar with any involvement that Tom Barrick had with Michael Jackson?
Sustain, 350 and 352.
Did Phil Anschutz, when he called you, what instructions were you given?
Objection, hearsay, relevant.
I'm going to sustain the objection. I think we can go to the next step. Thank you.
After the conversation, after the boss called you, what did you do?
I had my office set up an appointment for me to go and meet with Mr. Barrick and some of his other partner, a fellow named Richard Nanula, at Colony Capital.
All right. And this was where? Where is this? This
In
is
Century
the
City.
I'm sorry,
In Century City, California, Los Angeles.
All right. Was the meeting already set up for you?
No, I set it up.
Okay. You made a phone call and you set up the meeting.
That's correct.
How soon did you meet with Tom Barrick and his partners?
I believe it was the next day or the day after, to the best of my recollection.
All right. And then what happened?
I went in there. I had a meeting with them. Tom Barrick, I think it was Richard Nanula, who explained to me that they...
Mr. Phillips, could you speak up just a little bit?
Okay, sure. I'll get closer. I believe it was, to the best of my recollection, a gentleman named Richard Nanula, who was a partner in Colony Capital, pretty much led the meeting and explained to me that that Colony Capital had purchased the note on Neverland, Michael's ranch in North Santa Barbara County, had purchased the note on his ranch from a company called Fortress.
All right. And what did that have to do with the concert?
Objection, relevance, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Was there conversation about a concert during this meeting? Or concert tour series?
That what Richard Nanula
You
said.
can just answer that specific question. The partial answer stick in disregard.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. And who had that conversation? You and who?
And Richard Nanula and Tom Barrick.
All right. After this meeting, after this discussion about a concert, what did you do next, Mr. Phillips?
They set a meeting up for me with a gentleman named Dr. Tomei, who was presented to me as Michael Jackson's manager at that time.
All right, Dr. Tomei.
Correct.
And the meeting was already set up for you?
It was set up after that meeting at Colony, or during that meeting at Colony.
All right. And where was this meeting held?
At the Bel Air Hotel.
All right. And when was this meeting held?
I'm not sure, but it would have been the next day or the day after. I believe it was the same week that I had the meeting at Colony Capital.
You did say that you had the meeting at Colony Capital in August of 2008.
Right.
It would have been in August then? You had this meeting with Tomei?
That is correct.
All right, and it was at the Bel Air Hotel?
Yes.
Okay. You went to there was the next day, you went to this meeting at the Bel Air Hotel to meet with Dr. Tomei. Had you ever met Dr. Tomei?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Did you know Dr. Tomei?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained. Let's get to the next step. Thank you.
Did you recognize Dr. Tomei when you walked? I mean, how did the meeting occur? I mean,
Just a moment. The objection is sustained. There was a meeting. The next question.
okay. Can you tell us where in the Bel Air Hotel the meeting was?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
We can agree that somewhere within the confines of the Bel Air Hotel you met with Dr. Tomei, right?
Just to clarify
Yes.
your question, and I'm not sure it was the next day.
Okay.
You said the next day.
All right. But you did meet with Dr. Tomei.
That is correct.
All right. Who else was at the meeting?
Just Dr. Tomei.
All right. And what was the discussion about?
That Michael Jackson
Relevance limited to the concert tour.
Did this have to do with a proposed concert
Yes,
tour?
yes.
The objection is overruled. You may answer it, sir.
Okay. Michael Jackson wanted to restart his career, the primary part of it being touring live, but he was also going to put out new music during the course of the tour.
Was Dr. Tomei, in your understanding, was Dr. Tomei a representative of Michael Jackson?
He introduced himself to me as Michael's manager.
Okay. Now, you were once again obviously interested in putting that together, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And whereas in 2007 you said that it was clear Michael Jackson was not ready, was it your impression that based on the information that you had received that Michael Jackson was ready to do these concert tours, or you just didn't know?
I didn't know this was the first meeting. This is what I was being told.
Right. It was kind of an odd scenario that put you into this position with Dr. Tomei in the Bel Air Hotel, wasn't it?
Objection, leading. Counsel's testifying.
Sustained.
The process that started these conversations about the tour with Michael Jackson, was that usually how things happened?
Objection, vague.
Do you understand it?
I understand it enough to answer.
You may answer it.
Okay.
Overruled.
Okay. There's nothing usual about my job or my business and how things get started or things happen. So no, this was just, for me, just another meeting about Michael touring.
All right. Did you followed up in the meeting with Dr. Tomei?
Yes.
How did you follow up?
We had numerous phone conversations about it. There were other meetings, subsequent meetings, and there were negotiations for Michael to actually return to the stage.
All right. These negotiations, these subsequent meetings, these phone calls, they were all done with Dr. Tomei?
That is not all of them. He had an attorney, two attorneys actually.
All right. And who were these attorneys?
Dennis Hawk and Peter Lopez.
All right. Peter Lopez again.
Yes.
At some point, did you have a face-to-face meeting with Michael Jackson?
Yes, I did.
When was this?
The first meeting with Michael Jackson in 2008 was, I believe, sometime in September at the Bel Air Hotel.
And who was in attendance at this meeting?
It was me, Dr. Tomei, and Michael. It was the three of us. Plus, he had some of his bodyguards were at the hotel, but they weren't in the meeting.
Were you familiar with Michael Jackson's bodyguards? Did you know them?
No, that was the first time I had met them.
And did you subsequently come to know them?
Objection, relevance, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Vaguely.
Vaguely.
Yeah.
All right. So in September 2008, this is the first time now you've spoken directly with Michael Jackson about the possibility of concerts, right?
That is correct.
All right. And Dr. Tomei is there. You've spoken to him frequently about
That's
it.
correct.
Right? By the time you met in September 2008, had you already discussed with Dr. Tomei the parameters of what AEG would be interested in doing?
Yes, we discussed our concepts and our ideas.
All right.